Hello, everybody. Hey, PVPN people. I have got a sensitive topic to talk about, but also a very realistic one, and I think I think it's time to talk about this. And look, maybe just maybe I'm dealing with my grief of Steve's passing in a different way that's quite public. Maybe it is, but also maybe it's just a it's just highlighted and sparked a lot of things that I've been feeling and processing over the last, I don't know, 2, 3 years. Like pretty much since I moved to Cambodia, since COVID has struck, and just since the world has opened to the world of social media and Zoom only. So I'm glad that you're here. The one person that is here at the moment, but there is one. And I'm hoping that a few more might jump on as well. But I think it's a message that everyone needs to hear. I've done this in two different ways. Done this two ways. One, I'm going to speak it, and two, you can read it. But I think this is really important, and I think this is a conversation that we really need to have. So for starters, if you're here, hey Sarah, always glad to see you here. Just say hi, just so I know who's here. But it might get a bit touchy at the same time. And hopefully I don't have tissues, so hopefully we don't go down that road. But if you are here, say hi. All right, I'm going to dive on in. Okay, so it's more than just photography. It's more than just photography is kind of, we're not just photographers. Like, we are photographers by profession, but it's not just photography of why we do what we do. It's not just going to events and awards and conferences for the photography, it's for the people in our world. It's like, it's that community and connection. Now, this is the thing. While I've known Steve Scalone for years, and I've met him at an AIPP event a long time ago, but surprisingly, I never saved his phone number. We didn't talk on Facebook kind of messages ever, really. And yet, I always knew that Steve will turn up to every event. I knew that he'll turn up to the state awards, to the national awards. Numerous times we've worked together in conferences at New Zealand and at WPPI. And I'll always know to look out for that bumblebee jumper. Do you know that bright bumblebee, the blue and yellow one, the bumblebee kind of jumper? And I knew that he would just be there. And I'll be greeted with a big smile and a hug, and he's such a big dude. And, you know, we would chat and we would laugh and we would dive into the conversations like we just spoke to each other last week. Like every interaction with Steve, I felt inspired, I felt encouraged, and it was a really cool connection that we shared. But unfortunately, Steve's passing has also highlighted a really significant issue within the photography industry, that we're lacking that face-to-face connection. And this really came about over the last few days. Obviously, Steve's passing has kind of hit hundreds of photographers, especially down in Melbourne, but around the world. Steve was loved. He was a loved guy. But I also noticed that every single photo that nearly everybody posts, pretty much all of them, were at a past event. An APRA event, a state award event, a Christmas party event, international event, an awards event. You've got the big Epson stand behind in the awards, and everything was at an event. And it really showed that it emphasizes the importance that such kind of gatherings in fostering that meaningful relationships, that as photographers, that's what we did. And all those photos that we were in with Steve, that I was in, and lots of other people that were posting were in, were all most of them were pre-2020, or going all the way back to early 2000s, when he got his awards in like 2010, and, you know, Commercial Photographer of the Year in 2014, I think it was. And then you go forward, right, and go, right, 2020 really stuffed things up. COVID literally killed it all, I reckon. It killed everything. But then it saddens me that those budding photographers that were starting, you know, he did study, he did teach at universities, so they got to see him. But people didn't get to meet Steve because we didn't have the opportunity to attend events over the last 3-4 years. The other thing that I noticed too, we need to take more more selfies on the phone. More selfies, more selfies. I scrolled through my entire phone of 20 years of being a photographer. I do not have a photo with me and Steve together at all. All the lunches, the dinners, the parties, I've got nothing of the two of us. So just as a random weird question, if you left tomorrow, this is a bit morbid at the same time, if something was to happen and if you were left tomorrow, would people even know that you were around? Do you have photos to prove you existed? Do you have voice audio? Do you have connections with people? Because let's be honest, like a lot of our time is faced online and social media, and we don't actually connect with people. Now, I hope that I'm making sense to people, and I hope that this is loud and clear. This is a really good one. This is I'm going to enjoy talking about this. Love or hate the AIPP? Love or hate it? Do you know, some people were in it, some people were out of it, and those photographers, now it might not be AIPP, it's any institution. Those photographers that go, I never got anything out of it. Never got anything out of it. You guys just missed the point completely, because it's not just about the photography. It's not about what you can get out of it all the time. It's all those connections that you had. It was much more than just photography. It provided valuable opportunities for photographers to build community with like-minded individuals that share a passion, and to create images no matter what genre you photographed. I love learning about astrophotography and landscape and wildlife photography. It blew my mind. Can I take those photos? No, but we shared a mutual respect around it, and we enjoyed the creativity around it. And through the two decades of being a photographer and 20 years of being within the industry, I came to realize that it's the people that we meet along the way that makes the journey truly remarkable. You know, before 2020, the face-to-face gatherings were really common. Comment below if you ever went to a coffee catch-up, or on the lounge, a soup kitchen they had as well, a studio bus tour. We used to hire a studio bus and go from studio to studio to visit them. We used to do image critique nights for the state and national awards at least 1, 2, 3 times per year. We had pre-award state parties. We had the Australian awards. We had the state awards. We had the gala awards. We had the gala dinners, the parties, the Christmas parties. Hair of the Dog. Who turned up to Hair of the Dog in Brisbane? The Baby Summit. The Baby Summit was amazing. And all those other international conferences, but even simple things like the 7:30 street project walks we used to do with Steve and Craig as well. There were all these opportunities to connect. And love or hate the AIPP, they created these environments for us. Now, they really dwindled over the last 5 to 10 years, and COVID in 2020 pretty much killed everything. But they were dwindling before COVID started. Like, I remember the Baby Summit at Tweed Heads. You'd have 300 people. It was massive. Then we go to the Sunshine Coast, and there'd be 350 people. And it was amazing. It was an electrifying, awesome event. The speakers, the supplies, the connections, the parties, the funny things we used to do was awesome. And then the Brisbane one had 50 people in it. And these happen more and more often. The coffee catch-ups or on the lounge, they just dwindled. Why? People just stopped showing up. They just stopped showing up. And I know why though, because social media came about and Zoom. Zoom came about. Zoom was here. And let's be honest, Zoom's virtually the new normal. Even in the photography, even as a photographer, half of them aren't even doing in-person design, selling design consults anymore. They're doing it via Zoom because it's quicker, faster, easier. The question is, maybe, is that enough for people these days? Is it enough? Is it enough? Like, is it enough just to talk on Zoom and scratch the itch? I saw someone today. You know? So do we need to reignite the sense of community? And is it even really necessary? Do people even care? Like, do you care? There's my question for you. Talk to me, people. Do you care that you don't actually see anybody anymore? And do you just prefer just to use Zoom and social media to see it? Do you even really care? And then it's like, what kind of legacy do you want to leave for the photography industry? I know that, and maybe this is a part of that when I was a beginner growing up in the industry, 2005 to 2010, with the industry nights with Nick and Jared Jonas and Rocco, Joel Dunn, all those people, you know, even Mercury. Like I'll never speak to Mercury ever on the phone, on Messenger, email, ever. But I tell you what, when I see the guy in person, it's always a laugh and fun because he's just a bit batshit crazy. And I love that. So some say, you know, and then some of you might be like, do you know what? The community is online. Mark, move on. Move on. Like, stop trying to hold on to the past. Things have changed. Like, you've just got to move on, Mark. And it's like, because, do you know what? Yes, it costs money to come to events and create events. Yes, it takes time out of your week and your evenings. Yes, it's inconvenient because you have to get dressed up and you have to put on shorts. You might even need to put on shoes. You have to leave your home. And yes, you may need to coordinate your family and organize a babysitter and do things. And my pet hate is, yes, you have to drive in traffic, right? But aren't these all, like, it's critical for making connections and inspiring one another and ultimately becoming better business owners when we meet each other. Because it's not, and this is the thing with these events, right? With even the PBBN industry nights. Like, oh, I don't want to hear that speaker. Oh, I don't, you know, I had a phone call from someone. I don't really like that person. I'm not going to turn up. It's like, it's not about the speaker. It's not sometimes about the workshop. It's about the person that you sit beside at the workshop. It's the person that you sit beside at the industry night. It's the people that you have a drink with at the bar afterwards that you would have never really met. It's the people that you eat food with. It's when you do the multi-day events and you eat lunch and you go from table to table and you meet random people. That's when really the relationship starts to flourish and move on. That's when it's really great connection. It's the car rides. I remember jumping into a car with James Simmons at APA. And there was at least 12 of us in one car going from one event to the next. And we all just squashed in. Highly illegal. But gee, it was funny. But it's just what you did. But it's like, you know, how do we get back these opportunities of connection? You know, it's a great question. You know, is AIPP going to come back? Don't know. And if it did, what will it do? There are opportunities for connection, but individually, good morning, Sammy. Good morning, Jess. Individually, though, we all have roles to play. And I spoke about this the other day in a Facebook Live, and I even emailed the whole community about it. Whether you've been in the business for 5 minutes or 20 years, you've all got a role to play. We all need each other at some stage. As a beginner, you're just starting out in this professional capacity, right? You're just starting out and you want to be around other people. I call them builders. As a builder, you've been in the photography industry for a while and you're growing your business. You're setting up price lists, systems, workflows. You're learning how to market your business and you're really inspired by the people you talk to and you know who those rock stars are. Jared Jonas, what a rock star. In my dates, Suzette Nazaya, Robin Miller, Shireen Hammond, Rocco Akora. All these photographers that I was like, you know, Katrina Christ, I remember when I met her for the first time in Brisbane, I was like mind blown. I was fangirling over her because I know who they are. And these are the boomers. And the boomers are those people that have been in business for a while. They don't need to turn up to events. Lacey, you don't need to go to an event. You don't need to learn anything new. You've got your business down pat. But it's not about that. It's about creating a community and connecting with people, Lacey. It's about just turning up. Do you know what? You might not need to be there, but that beginner and builder that knows who you are, because Lacey, I'm just going to use you as an example now that you've come here. As an industry expert and as an educator, and also Dallas, I'm talking to you in America too. As an industry expert and as an educator, you have the passion to helping fellow photographers because you have your own community and you're inspiring. But this is your responsibility. You have a responsibility, Dallas. Lacey has a responsibility. I have a responsibility. Because we need to turn up to these places because we're the one that are driving the bus. And people who are beginners and builders, it sounds really dorky, but they want to meet you in person. They want to be like, I met Dallas. I met Lacey. She's got a lot of tattoos. I didn't realize how many tattoos they have. They want to meet Mark and they go, you're a lot shorter than what I thought you were. I get that quite a lot. And it's our responsibility to turn up to these events because we're driving the bus. So the question is, how do we reclaim this community, right? How do we reclaim it? This is a question that's been lingering in my mind for years because, okay, it's very obvious I'm an extroverted person. I get energized by being around people, you know. One of those things like, I love being around people, but then I love being in my own space. I went for a bike ride today for an hour, and maybe that's because I've got the balance. I'll go running for an hour and a half by myself, and then I want to be around other people, right? And then it's one of those things, it's kind of like, so we started the industry nights because for me, it was really just an excuse to see my friends. Kate, I want to come visit you in Adelaide, so let's make an industry night to make it worth the while. You know, all those type of things. Like, that's why we created the industry nights, to connect and build people, but also secretly underlying, I'm like, let's just have an excuse to have a party. Let's bring the industry together. Let's bring the suppliers together. Let's bring people together, and let's just get together for shits and giggles. But problem is, though, people need to turn up. And it's not just the industry night, it's all the other things. It's all those different catch-ups that we used to have, like the whole list that I just went through. The coffee catch-ups with the AIPP, all the AIPP on the lounge, on the couch, studio tours, critique nights, state awards, dinners, galas, Christmas parties, hair of the dog. You know, Dallas, you're here, so I'm talking PPA, WPPI. Like, it's just a matter of just turning up. So this is what I've decided to do. I'm going to make some tools. I've got some resources that we can play with. And don't worry, I'm not selling you anything, so don't freak out. All right? What I've got is, with the PBBN, the Professional Photography Industry Network, the website's got some functionality that's really cool that Kylie installed. One, it's got a directory. It's got a map on it. There's a map. Right? So what I'm going to do, I haven't asked Kylie this, but I'm just going to do it anyway. I'm going to make it free to join the directory, to put yourself on the map. Why would I do that? But Mark, you're going to know who my competition is. It's not about that. If you're so small-minded that it's like you're trying to, like, you know, competition, I've got to hide, like community over competition. You've heard that a gazillion times. But we're going to make it free. We're going to make it completely free to join the directory. All right, actually, I think it has to be $1 because it has to connect with all these other things that it does behind the scenes that it's been made for. But we're going to create a directory. Why? There's a map, so we can see who are the photographers in our state, who is in our area, who's shooting the same genre, who's shooting the same style. Because Lacey, as a birth photographer, you will know this more than anybody. Imagine if you're sick when some other lady is giving birth, and as a photographer, you need to find another birth photographer. We need to create this community. We need to create this connection. If you're photographing a wedding, I have never had it before, but I had a few photographers, 4 or 5 of us, that worked together, that were on that pact, like the Blood Brothers. If I'm ever sick, if I ever call you at 2 or 3 or 4 o'clock on a Friday night or a Saturday night and I need you to photograph a wedding, can you do it for me? Because things happen. So the map's going to show where people are. So then the second part for this is on the PBBN, the website, we've got an events page that we can create events. Now, an event for me is when two or more are gathering. We just need 2 people. So Lacey, if you and I are going to catch up for a coffee at a coffee shop and we're going to organize it in 4 weeks' time, you can go on the website, fill out a form saying coffee catch up at this place at this time, and it's open to everybody. Maybe it's not a coffee catch up. We had some ideas with some people. Maybe it's a studio tour. Maybe you're a bored photographer and you just feel like photographing. Maybe you want to do a street walk. Maybe you want to organize a couple of models for shits and giggles and just photograph something. We, in Queensland, we had a a photographer's catch up in the park with a whole lot of other photographers because Lily was only 4 and I was bored. So we had a catch up at the park and we brought the kids along. There wasn't any photos being taken. We just hung out at the park for a few hours, right? So you're going to have the free directory, you're going to have the events, because what we really want to do is boost the visibility and participation. Now, it doesn't matter if you're a PBBN person, a Lacey, it does not matter if you are in your own birth education space. Also, Dallas, I don't even know if you're still here. It doesn't matter if you're overseas in a different spot. I don't care if you're PBBN, WPPI, APP, NZIPP, or all the other PPs or all the other educators. If you're going to do something and host an event of some description and you're like, hey, let's just invite people along, come on in and hang out. The last thing is to say is support the industry that supports you. It's time to show up. It's time to turn up to things. Show up to events. Come to the industry night. Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, Adelaide. Some people like Callie live really far away and you just can't make it there, and Zoom's your only choice. You know, there's the APP, the Australian Professional Awards, coming up in July. The New Zealand conference is coming up in August. Just turn up to stuff. So I'll finish with this. If this is making sense, if you're resonating with any of this, if this is sparking anything for you, please write in the comments, join the conversation, because this is our next step. And I'm going to finish with this. Our next step is we need to open this conversation. I need to go, is this a good idea or a bad idea, Mark? Does anyone even give a shit? Do you even care? Does it even matter? Are we all happy in our own little worlds and we're like, you know what? I don't care. I'm very happy sitting in my PJs, minding my own business, and it doesn't really matter at all. Am I barking up the wrong tree? Do you guys just not give a shit? And it's okay if you don't. Because some people might go, I've got enough friends. I don't need to make new ones. I've been in this industry long enough. I don't want to have to catch up and answer stupid questions from newbie photographers and builders. I just want to go out for a coffee. I just want to go out. I just want to have a beer. I just want to go out, you know. Like, do we even need to? I don't know. Then why this though? Then why is this? Why is it this? I know that Steve had a catch up a couple of Fridays ago before he was sick. It was very last minute, and the photos that were posted were the most recent ones were from this night. And I can tell you that I couldn't go because Suze was interstate and it just couldn't happen. But there was about 40, 50 people turn up for Steve on that night. And it was awesome. And I looked at all the faces and I'm like, you are my people. Like, all those people are my people. I've had a connection with all those people. Do you know what? I probably only speak to 2 or 3 of them, but all of them are in my world of some space. And then it's like, why does it take an event like this for us to realize that we need to catch up? Why does it take someone to passing that we realize that we need to take more selfies? What's the first thing you do whenever anybody passes away? First thing you do, A, you cry. B, you jump on your phone and you look for photos, you look for videos, you look for when did we connect last, voice messages, anything. You just look for it. So maybe it's just me and I'm just emotionally charged and passionate about the community and stuff. Maybe this is me dealing with my grief. My grief. My grief. I don't know. But it's like, I'm all ears. I'm open for conversation. So let's have a chat. If we can make it happen, happen. Oh, thanks, Kate. Like, Kate, like, I know you're super busy, and I'm not going to put this on you at all. I know you're super busy, but you've got an amazing studio space. Remember we used to do on the lounges with AIPP, the studio tours and catch-ups? You know, and I'm not saying just for you, Kate, but for those people that have studios, like, remember it used to be fun, just used to sit around for an hour or so and talk shit about anything, about clients, photography, new ideas. Oh, that's new. How did that work? How did that work? I remember doing it that way. Like, don't you miss that? I miss that. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I just miss that. Maybe I'm the one that's just isolated here. Maybe I just need to get out more. But I will make efforts in Brisbane. I'll put it out there that we're going to do some stuff. I spoke to Ben Clark the other day. Now, Ben Clark's a photographer, been around for 25, 30 years in Brisbane. Ages. We're going to organise a Christmas party this year. Because it's like, let's organise a Christmas party. Let's just do something. Stop waiting around for everyone else to do something. Let's just actually do something. Like, because there's 3 people. There's a participators. I had this in my head. I should have written it down. I don't even know what it is now. It was something like participate, facilitate, and something 8. So it was all whatever it was. But anyway. But yeah, I want to open, if we can have the tools of the PBBN, the map to make life easier to connect with people, let's do it. If we've got the events page that we can share stuff with, like, let's do that. I'm not asking for anything for anyone. It's all free. It doesn't matter. It's just like, how do we just bring this community together? Because, you know, it's a lonely place and we go around in circles all the time. But it's like, we just need to connect with people. Maybe we don't. I keep going back to this. Maybe no one gives a shit. Maybe we don't need to connect with people. Maybe we're quite happy by ourselves in our own little world, in the safety of a camera, behind the screen, in our house. That's fine. But I know there's a whole lot of people that go, we should do this more often. We should catch up more often. If I can help you in any other way to make it work, let's do it. Can you please spark the conversation in the chat, in the comments? Keep this public. Let's talk about this. If we can make this work, why not? Anyway, hey, that's my fun, emotionally charged Thursday of trying to make the world a better place. What would Steve do? WWD. What would Steve do? Steve would want to see people connect. So let's do it. See you guys. Enjoy your Thursday.